Hi everyone, I am so happy that you guys tuned in to watch this video, and I'm really glad that I'm able to talk about this chapter with you guys today in this Bible story. So, to start, I'm going to read Matthew chapter 13, verse 44, and then we're going to talk about it, and there will be some discussion that you can have with your friends and family and people that watch this video also, and just learn with each other. So I'm going to start with Matthew chapter 13, verse 44. It says, "The kingdom of heaven is like treasure hidden in a field. When a man found it, he hid it again, and then in his joy went and sold all he had and bought that field." So when I think of this story, I think about something that you want so badly that you are willing to do anything to get that. And for me, it's concerts. I love going to concerts. I would do anything to see the artists that I love, specifically like Niall Horan and Sean Mendes. They are my favorite people in the whole world. I love them a lot. And I've seen each of them in concert several times. But in order to see them in concert, I have literally sold things so that I could achieve my goal of getting the thing that I want, which would be to see them live. So, for example, when I was in high school, I went to a Sean Mendes concert and I had so much fun. And my friends and I just loved it. And we were like, oh my gosh, we have to do this again. And so he was going to Omaha. So my friends and I drove to Omaha the next week on a whim and went to see him in Omaha and stayed in a hotel. And honestly, we had so much fun. I had to sell my Xbox and my guitar to have enough money to go see him in Omaha. And as fun as that trip was, the joy that came from seeing him live eventually wore off. And another example of something that I've done is Niall Horan has always been my favorite artist. And I've loved him since he was in One Direction and I was like 13 years old. So when he played at Red Rocks in 2018, I took out one of my student loans to buy a meet and greet ticket, and I actually got to meet him. And again, as fun as the 30 seconds of me being able to talk to him was, that happiness eventually wore off. But the kingdom of heaven is a treasure that will never wear out. So in that chapter, or in this verse, Jesus says that it is a field of treasure. And the thing about heaven is that once we find that treasure, it will never leave us and we have it forever, which is so amazing. So that it is a good investment and it's worth selling everything you have to have that treasure forever and that happiness and joy and peace and that whole land. When I'm reading this, I'm picturing just like a huge street or neighborhood just full of gold and towers and bright lights and stuff. I think it's just so awesome. And that's what heaven is for us. So unlike a Sean Mendes or a Niall Horan concert, heaven does not wear off its joy. To get this everlasting joy, we have to set our values straight. And recognize what is actually important to us and what we value. So my question for everyone to be discussing is, do you have your values in order of importance from what Jesus would want our values to be? So as a teenage girl, I valued concerts and artists so much, way more than I should have, and I still should work on how much I invest into musicians that I like, but I definitely am trying to prioritize things in my life that I value. So an example that I would have, or as a question for you all, is would you rather buy an ATV that you've saved all your money for and just blow it all in one big transaction, or would you like to value your time and money and invest in being able to give back to people with some of the treasure that God has allowed you to have? My next question would be, once you find out what you value and what order it should be in, how are you going to align the treasure with what Jesus would want you to be valuing? And the long and short of it would be, a lot of things that lift our happiness on earth are only temporary. The happiness that they bring us will eventually wear off. However, God's kingdom is not temporary, and its happiness, joys, and treasures will never fade, which is just so awesome.